The sun bore down mercilessly on Camp Verde, Arizona Territory, 1878. As Lucy Baker stumbled up the worn wooden steps of Dr. Harmon's office, her 4-year-old son Jacob limp in her arms. Sweat beaded on her brow, panic rising in her chest as the boy's fevered skin burned against her own. 3 days of worsening fever, and now the rash spreading across his small body had pushed her to desperation. "Please," she gasped, bursting through the door without knocking. "My boy needs help, doctor." Harmon glanced up from his desk, his spectacles perched on his nose, face hardening at the sight of her. Lucy knew what he saw: a young widow, barely 24, struggling to make ends meet at her small ranch outside town since her husband died. The doctor's eyes narrowed. "Mrs. Baker," he said coldly, not rising from his chair. "I believe we discussed payment for services previously." Lucy shifted Jacob in her arms, his small whimper tearing at her heart. "I know I still owe you from winter when I had pneumonia, and from last fall when the boy broke his arm, doctor." Harmon interrupted. "And the spring before that, your debt continues to accumulate, Mrs. Baker." "I'll pay you," Lucy insisted, her voice cracking. "The cattle sale next month. I promise every cent. Your promises have worn thin." The doctor returned to his paperwork. "Perhaps you should seek charity from the church." "He has scarlet fever," Lucy said desperately. "Look at the rash, the fever. He needs medicine now. The church can't help with that." Dr. Harmon sighed irritably. "I can't continue providing services without compensation. This is a business, Mrs. Baker, not a charity. I suggest you try your luck in Prescott. They have a hospital." "Prescott is 2 days' ride," Lucy cried, tears forming in her eyes. "He won't make it that long without help." "Then I suggest you start riding." The doctor didn't look up again. "Good day, Mrs. Baker." Lucy stood frozen, disbelief warring with panic. She clutched Jacob closer, his small body burning against hers, and backed out of the office. On the street, the bright sunlight blinded her momentarily as tears streamed down her face. She sank down on the doctor's steps, cradling Jacob and feeling utterly helpless. "Madam, you all right there?" The deep voice startled her. Lucy looked up to see a tall figure blocking the sun. As her eyes adjusted, she made out a man with broad shoulders, dark hair beneath a well-worn hat, and concerned blue eyes studying her. Dust covered his clothes, suggesting he'd just ridden into town. "I'm fine," she said automatically, though her tear-streaked face and the limp child in her arms told a different story. The stranger crouched down beside her, looking at Jacob with concern. "Your boy doesn't look too good." Lucy couldn't stop the sob that escaped her. "He has scarlet fever." "The doctor won't help because I can't pay right away." The man's expression darkened. He glanced up at the doctor's sign, then back to Lucy. "Name's Samuel Prescott," he said. "Most folks call me Sam. What's your name, madam?" "Lucy Baker. This is Jacob." Sam reached out, gently placing a calloused hand on Jacob's forehead. "He's burning up something fierce." "I don't know what to do," Lucy admitted. "Prescott's too far, and I don't have a wagon fast enough to get him there in time." Sam stood up, determination settling on his features. "Wait here." Before she could respond, he pushed through the doctor's door. Lucy heard raised voices inside, growing louder until Sam emerged, his jaw set in anger. "That man's no doctor," he muttered. "He's a businessman with a medical degree." "He's the only doctor in Camp Verde," Lucy said helplessly. Sam looked down at her, then to Jacob, decision made in his eyes. "Not the only doctor in Arizona Territory, though." He knelt beside her again. "Mrs. Baker, I just rode in from working cattle up north, but I've got a good horse. I know a doctor in Jerome who doesn't care about money before medicine. I can get there by nightfall if I push hard." Lucy stared at him, hope and disbelief mingling. "You do that for strangers." "A sick child isn't a stranger, madam. He's just someone who needs help." Sam stood. "You got somewhere to take him meanwhile. Keep him cool, my ranch outside town." "But no buts. Let's get you home first, then I'll ride for Jerome." His tone left no room for argument as he gently lifted Jacob from her arms. "Where's your wagon?" Within the hour, Sam had delivered Lucy and Jacob to her small ranch house, helped her prepare cold compresses for the boy, and written down instructions for willow bark tea to help with the fever. Lucy watched in awe as this stranger moved with quiet efficiency, filling her wash basin with fresh water and setting it by Jacob's bedside. "Keep him cool as you can," Sam instructed. "If the fever spikes, wrap him in wet sheets." I can't repay you, Lucy said, clutching Jacob's small hand. Sam tightened the cinch on his saddle, not asking for payment. Why are you doing this? He paused, eyes distant for a moment. Lost my little sister to fever when I was 12. No child should die when help's within reach. With that, he swung onto his horse. I'll ride till I find a doctor who'll help, Mrs. Baker. You have my word. As his horse thundered away in a cloud of dust, Lucy found herself praying for the first time since her husband died. This time, she prayed not only for her son, but for the stranger who'd offered hope when all seemed lost. The day stretched endlessly as Lucy tended to Jacob. She changed compresses, spooned willow bark tea between his cracked lips, and sang softly when his delirium brought nightmares. Outside, the sun blazed across the sky, then began its descent toward the mountains. Evening shadows lengthened across the small bedroom while Lucy kept her vigil, wondering if Sam Prescott would keep his promise. Night fell fully, bringing cooler air but no relief for Jacob. His breathing grew more labored, the rash an angry scarlet against his pale skin. Lucy found herself talking to him constantly, telling stories of his father, making promises about the future, anything to keep him tethered to this world. Your pa would be so proud of how brave you're being, she whispered, stroking his damp hair. Just like him you are, strong and stubborn. Her voice broke. And you need to stay that way, you hear me? Stay strong for Mama. The hours crawled by. Midnight came and went. Lucy fought exhaustion, pinching herself when her eyes grew heavy. She couldn't afford to sleep, not when every shallow breath from Jacob might be his last. A sound outside jerked her fully awake hoofbeats, approaching fast. Lucy ran to the window, peering into the darkness. 2 riders approached, one clearly Sam on his exhausted horse. The second rider followed close behind on a sturdy mare, saddlebags bouncing against its flanks. Lucy flung open the door just as they dismounted. Sam's face was haggard with fatigue, but his eyes held triumph. Mrs. Baker, he said, this is Dr. Elizabeth Ward from Jerome. The second rider stepped forward, a woman in her 40s with gray streaked hair tied back in a practical knot and intelligent eyes that immediately assessed Lucy's exhausted state. Where's the patient? Dr. Ward asked, already shrugging off her dusty coat. This way, Lucy stammered, leading her to Jacob's room. The doctor approached the bed, her movements efficient but gentle as she examined Jacob. Scarlet fever indeed, caught it in time though it's advanced. She opened her bag, pulling out bottles and instruments. He'll need strict care for the next week, but children are resilient. Lucy sagged against the doorframe. He'll live with proper treatment, yes. Dr. Ward turned to Sam. Get some water boiling. I need to prepare a solution for his throat. Sam nodded and disappeared to the kitchen. Lucy watched, amazed, as this woman she'd never met worked methodically to save her son's life. Within an hour, Jacob had received medicine for the fever and infection, his throat had been treated, and he rested more peacefully than he had in days. He'll need doses every 4 hours, doctor. Ward instructed, writing out detailed directions. I'll stay until morning to monitor him, then I must return to Jerome. My assistant can only manage alone for so long. Thank you, Lucy whispered. I don't know how I'll ever repay you, Dr. Ward smiled tiredly. Your neighbor, Mr. Prescott, was quite persuasive about the urgency. He also paid your fee in advance. Lucy's eyes widened. She found Sam outside on the porch, slumped in exhaustion against the railing. You paid her? How? Why? Sam straightened, embarrassment crossing his features. Had some money saved, wasn't doing anything important with it. But you don't even know us, he shrugged. Know enough, you're a mother trying to save her son. I'll pay you back, Lucy insisted. Every cent. No need, Sam looked out at the night. Actually, I should get going. Now that the doctor's here, don't be ridiculous, Lucy interrupted. You've ridden halfway across the territory today, at least rest until morning. After some convincing, Sam accepted the offer of her barn loft to sleep in. As Lucy returned to Jacob's room where Dr. Ward monitored his breathing, she found her mind repeatedly drifting to the cowboy who'd appended his day to help strangers. What kind of man did such things? Morning brought remarkable improvement in Jacob's condition. His fever had dropped, and though still weak, he was awake and responsive. Dr. Ward pronounced him on the mend, leaving additional medicine and strict instructions for his care. The crisis has passed, she told Lucy. Keep him isolated for 10 days to prevent spread. He should make a full recovery. As the doctor prepared to leave, Lucy found Sam in the barn tending to his horse. The morning light illuminated his features, revealing a handsome face despite the fatigue etched into it. "Doctor says Jacob will recover," she told him. Relief washed over his face. "Good, that's real good news." "She's leaving soon, will you?" Lucy hesitated. "Will you be leaving too?" Sam adjusted his saddle, not meeting her eyes. "Figure I should, got work waiting in Flagstaff." Lucy nodded, fighting unexpected disappointment. "Of course, I just wanted to thank you properly." "What you did, I don't have words. Anyone would have done the same." "No," Lucy said firmly. "Dr. Harmon didn't, most wouldn't have. You're a rare man, Samuel Prescott." His cheeks colored slightly at that, and Lucy found herself charmed by this contradiction, a man brave enough to confront a doctor and ride through the night for strangers, yet bashful at a simple compliment. "At least stay for breakfast," she insisted. "It's the least I can do." Sam accepted, and they shared a simple meal of biscuits and coffee with Dr. Ward before the doctor departed for Jerome. Afterward, Lucy expected Sam to follow suit, but he lingered, glancing toward the corral where her few cattle grazed. "Your fence is coming down on the south side," he observed. Lucy sighed. "I know, haven't had time to fix it, what with Jacob and everything else." Sam studied the fence, then looked back at the house where Jacob rested. "I could fix it before I go, won't take long with the right tools. You've done more than enough already." "Got nowhere pressing to be," he said, a half-truth in his eyes. "And looks like you could use an extra hand around here for a day or two, just until the boy's stronger." Lucy wanted to refuse, to insist she could manage on her own as she had since her husband's death 2 years ago. But the truth was, she was exhausted, and the thought of someone helping just for a little while was too tempting to refuse. "Just the fence," she agreed. "Then you're free to go." One day stretched to 3 as Sam found more repairs needing attention around the small ranch. He fixed the fence, patched the roof, and repaired the well pump that had been giving Lucy trouble for months. Each evening, he'd check on Jacob before retreating to the barn to sleep, refusing Lucy's offers of the spare room. On the 4th morning, Lucy found Sam splitting firewood, his shirt damp with exertion in the early heat. "You don't need to do all this," she told him. Sam set down the axe. "Keeps me busy." "Don't you have work waiting in Flagstaff?" He hesitated. "It'll keep a while longer." Lucy studied him, sensing there was something he wasn't saying. "Why are you really staying, Sam?" He looked uncomfortable. "Just want to make sure the boy's really on the mend. Jacob's much better today, even asking for stories." She stepped closer. "You've been a blessing, but I don't want to keep you from your life." Sam's expression shifted, something vulnerable flashing in his eyes before he masked it. "Truth is, Mrs. Baker, Lucy," she corrected softly. "Lucy," he amended. "Truth is, I don't have much waiting for me. Been drifting from ranch to ranch for years, no real home to speak of." The admission hung between them, simple yet profound in its honesty. Lucy's heart went out to him, this kind-hearted wanderer who'd stopped to help when no one else would. "Stay for supper tonight," she said impulsively. "A proper meal, not just beans and biscuits. Jacob's been asking about you anyway." That evening, Lucy prepared the best meal her limited supplies allowed, a chicken stew with dumplings and apple cobbler for dessert. Jacob, well enough to sit at the table for the first time in days, peppered Sam with questions about his adventures as a cowboy. "Have you ever fought Indians?" the boy asked eagerly. Sam shook his head. "No fighting, but I've traded with Apache and Navajo, good people when treated fairly." "What about outlaws?" Sam smiled. "Met a few, most are just men making poor choices." "My pa was brave," Jacob declared. "He fought in the war before I was born." Lucy tensed, but Sam handled the subject with grace. "I'm sure he was a fine man. It takes courage to fight for what you believe in." Later, after Jacob returned to bed, Lucy and Sam sat on the porch in comfortable silence. The evening was cool, stars emerging one by one in the darkening sky. "He's a good boy," Sam said finally. "Smart too," Lucy smiled. "He's everything to me. When his father died, I thought we'd lose the ranch, but I couldn't bear to take Jacob away from the only home he's known." "How did your husband die?" Sam asked gently. "If you don't mind my asking." Lucy rarely spoke of it, the pain still sharp after 2 years. But something about Sam's quiet presence made it easier. "Cattle drive to Tucson," she said. Robert insisted on going himself rather than hiring it out. We needed the money. There was a flash flood at our river crossing. They found his body 2 days later. She swallowed hard. Everyone said I should sell, move to town, find a new husband, but this land was Robert's dream. And now it's mine too. Lucy looked out at the darkened ranch. I want Jacob to have something of his father's legacy, something solid in this world. Sam nodded, understanding in his eyes. Takes grit to hold onto a place like this alone. Some days I have more grit than others, Lucy admitted with a tired smile. They fell silent again, but it wasn't awkward. There was an ease between them that surprised Lucy, as if they'd known each other far longer than a handful of days. I should go, Sam said, eventually standing. Early start tomorrow. Lucy rose too. You're leaving then? He hesitated. Figure it's time. Jacob's better. Ranch won't fall apart overnight. Sam. Lucy paused, gathering courage. There's plenty of work around here. Paid work, I mean. I've been saving to hire help for the summer months, if you're interested. Hope flickered across his face before caution replaced it. Wouldn't want charity. It's not charity, it's a job offer. Lucy met his gaze steadily. You're good with cattle, good with repairs. I need help and you need work. Seems straightforward enough. Sam considered her words, something unspoken passing between them. I'll think on it, he promised. The next morning, Lucy found him already at work in the corral, mending a broken gate. She brought him coffee, their fingers brushing as she handed him the cup. Does this mean you're staying? She asked. Sam nodded. For a spell, till you get back on your feet proper. As spring turned to summer, Sam's temporary stay stretched on. He proved invaluable around the ranch, fixing what was broken, improving what wasn't, and teaching Jacob all manner of useful skills. The boy flourished under his attention, following Sam around like a shadow whenever Lucy allowed it. Lucy found herself watching them together, a bittersweet ache in her chest. Jacob needed a man's guidance, something she couldn't provide alone. And Sam. There was a gentleness beneath his rugged exterior that emerged more with each passing day. On a warm June evening, Lucy found Sam on the porch, whittling a small wooden horse for Jacob. The boy had been asleep for hours, but the night was pleasant, and Lucy was reluctant to end the day. That's beautiful, she said, nodding toward the carving. Sam looked up, his smile warming his entire face. Used to make these for my sister, thought Jacob might like one. He'll love it. Lucy settled beside him on the step. You're good with him. He makes it easy, smart kid. He adores you, Lucy said softly, talks about you constantly. Sam set aside his knife. Been thinking, Lucy, cattle prices are up. You should consider expanding your herd before winter. That would require capital I don't have. I've got savings, Sam offered. Could be a partnership of sorts. I put in money, you contribute the land and existing stock. Split the profits. Lucy stared at him, surprised by the proposal. You'd want to partner in this ranch if you're agreeable. His eyes held her steadily. Been thinking I might like to put down roots if I'm welcome to stay. The implication of his words hung between them. This wasn't just about business, it was about creating something together, building a future. You're welcome, Lucy said quietly. More than welcome. Something shifted between them that night, an acknowledgement of feelings neither had spoken aloud. Over the following weeks, their partnership extended beyond the ranch work. They began sharing meals as a family, planning improvements together, discussing Jacob's education. One evening in late July, they rode together to check the herd in the north pasture. The sunset painted the sky in brilliant golds and pinks, the beauty of the moment not lost on either of them. Never thought I'd find a place that felt like home again, Sam admitted as they sat their horses side by side. Been wandering so long, I forgot what it was like to belong somewhere. Lucy turned to him. And now I'm wondering if home isn't so much a place as it is people. His eyes met hers. People who matter, Lucy's heart quickened. You matter to us, Sam, to Jacob and to me. Sam dismounted, helping Lucy down from her horse. They stood close, the evening breeze carrying the scent of wildflowers around them. Lucy, I never expected to find you, Sam said, his voice low and earnest. Rode into Camp Verde just needing supplies before moving on, but now, she prompted when he hesitated. Now I can't imagine riding away. He took her hands in his. I know it hasn't been that long and maybe this is too forward, but I'm falling in love with you, Lucy Baker, with you and Jacob both. Tears pricked at Lucy's eyes. It's not too forward, it's just right. When he kissed her, it felt like coming home after a long journey. Lucy had never expected to love again after Robert had resigned herself to a life focused solely on Jacob and survival. Yet here was Sam, offering his heart alongside his strength and support. "I don't want to replace Robert's memory," Sam said as they rode back in the gathering dusk. "For you or for Jacob." "You couldn't," Lucy assured him, "but that doesn't mean there isn't room for new memories, new love." They married in September, a small ceremony in Camp Verde with Dr. Ward making the journey from Jerome to attend. Jacob stood proudly as Sam's best man, beaming throughout the ceremony. Dr. Harmon watched from across the street, his face sour as the happy couple emerged from the church. Later, Lucy learned he'd lost much of his practice in recent months as word spread of his refusal to treat her son. Sam's actions had started a quiet rebellion in town, with several families now making the journey to Jerome for medical care rather than dealing with a doctor who placed profit above healing. As autumn settled over the ranch, now officially the Baker Prescott spread, Lucy marveled at how life could change so dramatically in the span of a few months. From desperation on a doctor's doorstep to newfound happiness with a man who'd ridden into her life at precisely the right moment. On a crisp October evening, as they sat together watching the sunset, Jacob asleep inside after an exhausting day helping with the cattle, Sam pulled Lucy closer against the chill. "Any regrets?" he asked, his breath warm against her hair. "About marrying you, not a single one," he chuckled. "About keeping the ranch, taking on all this hardship when you could have had an easier life." Lucy considered the question seriously. "The easy path isn't always the right one. Sometimes you have to fight for what matters, even when it seems impossible." She turned in his arms to face him. "Like a cowboy riding all night to find a doctor for a dying boy he'd never met." "Best ride of my life," Sam said, kissing her gently. "Led me straight to where I belong." As stars appeared overhead, Lucy thought about the twist of fate that had brought them together. One doctor's coldness had led to another's compassion. One man's selflessness had created a family where before there had been only struggle and loneliness. "I have something to tell you," Lucy said, taking Sam's hand and placing it over her stomach. "Jacob's going to have a sibling come spring." Sam's face transformed with wonder. "A baby, you're sure?" Lucy nodded, smiling through happy tears. "Dr. Ward confirmed it when she was here for the wedding, said everything looks perfect." Sam gathered her in his arms, laughing with joy. "Lucy Prescott, you've made me the happiest man in the Arizona Territory." Later that night, as moonlight filtered through the bedroom window, Lucy watched Sam sleeping peacefully beside her. In the room across the hall, Jacob slumbered soundly, recovered fully from his brush with death. Within her, new life grew a symbol of hope and second chances. From nearly losing everything to gaining more than she'd dared dream possible, Lucy's journey had taught her that even in the harshest landscapes, love could take root and flourish. All it needed was courage, compassion, and sometimes, a stranger willing to ride through the night to find help when all seemed lost. In April 1879, Lucy gave birth to healthy twin boys they named Robert and William. Sam took to fatherhood with natural ease, balancing the demands of the expanding ranch with his growing family. Jacob proved to be an enthusiastic big brother, proudly introducing his siblings to everyone who visited. As the years passed, the Baker Prescott ranch prospered. They added to their cattle herds, built a larger home, and became respected fixtures in the Camp Verde community. Dr. Ward visited regularly, becoming a beloved family friend and eventually training Jacob when he expressed interest in medicine. And sometimes, on quiet evenings when the children were asleep, Lucy and Sam would sit on the porch together, marveling at how a moment of desperate need had led to a lifetime of love, proof that even in the untamed wilderness of the Arizona Territory, compassion could change destinies and heal hearts.